from trade to unity. Can Africa build a united continental economy and political federation? For decades, African leaders have talked about the vision of the more united Africa, a continent where goods move freely across borders, a continent where businesses can sell products across 55 countries without facing unnecessary barriers, where citizens can travel, work, and invest wherever, anywhere on the continent. And eventually, a continent where African nations can speak with one voice on the global stage. But how does Africa get there? What does African integration actually means? Here we discuss the African Union. So we want to explain these things in layman terms so that people understand. Many people hear terms like AfCFTA, ECOWAS, ECOWAS, SADC, Customs Union, or African Monetary Union. But they often do not understand how these pieces fit together. The truth is that African integration follows a specific roadmap. It moves from economic cooperation to deeper economic unity and potentially one day a political federation. So today we are going to explain that journey. I know this video must be long, but we got to explain the journey. So as I always say, people who say the African Union is slow can understand the steps, and then we appreciate where the African Union has come from and where it's going. The African Union was created in 2002, replacing the Organization of African Unity, which was established in 1963, sorry. The EU's mission is to promote unity among African countries, peace and security, economic development, greater cooperation among African peoples. The long-term dream is not simply cooperation between governments. It is a creation of an integrated African economy and eventually a stronger political union. But integration does not happen overnight. Integration does not happen overnight. Countries must move through different stages of integration. The first step is a Preferential Trade Area, often called PTA, not Parent-Teacher Association, as we call it in Liberia, PTA, Preferential Trade Area. The Preferential Trade Area means countries agree to give each other better trade conditions than they give to outsiders. The key idea is simple, right? We will make it easier for our neighbors to trade with us. However, tariffs are not completely removed. For example, a country may charge a 20% import tax on goods from outside Africa, but reduce that tax to 10% on goods from a neighboring African country. That is the Preferential Trade Area logic. The country is going to give giving its partner preference. That's so that the PTA, Preferential Trade Area. The PTA is the beginning of economic cooperation. It builds trust and creates the foundation for deeper integration. For example, from African history, a preferential trade area for Eastern and Southern Africa, African state, Eastern and Southern African state, which later developed into COMESA. So COMESA is a good example of PTA. So if you understand it like that, you see what I'm going for. Then the next stage is a free trade area, which is FTA, as a free trade area. This is where countries go further and remove tariffs on most goods traded among themselves. The idea is to create a larger market. Imagine a company producing goods in Ghana. Under a free trade area, that company can sell those goods in Kenya, Senegal, or Rwanda without facing heavy import taxes. The African Continental Free Trade Area, known as AfCFTA, is designed to create the world's largest free trade area by number of participating countries. The purpose is to increase African trade with Africa, encourage investment in manufacturing, build continental supply chains, reduce dependence on imported goods. So those are some of the things that the free trade area, the AfCFTA, is intended to do. But free trade does not mean everything becomes automatic. Countries still need better roads, better ports, stronger custom systems, common standards, rules of origin. Sorry, these are all the things that are needed for free trade area. So after I would explain about PATA, that is the infrastructure, the institution that Africa has to create roads or build roads, railway, or other stuff. The next level is custom union. So a custom union includes everything in free trade area, let's say in a free trade area, but add one important feature, right? A common external tariff. This means member countries agree to charge the same tariff on goods coming outside of the union. That's the custom union. For example, say, if Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania form a custom union, they agree we will trade freely with one another among ourselves, but we will apply the same import tax or tariff on countries outside of the group. So, why is this necessary? Because without a common tariff, external tariff, a country with lower tariffs could become a gateway for outside goods entering the entire market. You understand that? So, customs union requires more cooperation because countries around us some control over trade policy. So you see the steps that the African Union is going through to create this economic union and political and eventually political union. So when we're talking about the custom union, for example, say there's a good example of a custom union, the East African Community Customs Union, Saudi African Customs Union. Then the next step is common market. We talk about the European Union, single market, and we talk about AfCFTA. So let us explain these steps so that you who are following the African Union will know that the African Union is not slow. Here we explain what the African Union does, and we explain the regional economic communities under the African Union, and they gradually they are becoming to integrate. A common market goes beyond goods. It allows the movement of goods, services, or capital, and people. This is where integration begins affecting ordinary citizens. A Kenyan engineer could work in another African country. A Nigerian company could invest more heavily in another African economy. A South African business could create or operate across borders with fewer restrictions. The East African community has one of Africa's most advanced common market projects, the East African community. However, this is also where political sensitivity increases. Countries become concerned about, there are some things countries become concerned about. Migration, because people can move freely within the common market. Jobs, security, and pressure on public services. These are all the things. A common market requires trust between governments. A common market requires trust between governments. If those steps are all completed, the next step is a monetary union. This means countries share a currency or coordinate their monetary policies. The best example is the euro. Before the euro, France had the franc. Germany had the mark. Italy had the lari. Today, many European countries share the euro. Many European countries share the euro. A monetary union can bring benefits. I know you know some of the benefits. A monetary union can bring benefits. Easier trade, lower transaction costs, greater financial stability. But it also creates challenges. Let's not forget, everything has its downsides. Countries lost control over their own currency. They cannot independently print money. So you can't just wake up one day and Liberia say, "Oh, we're going to print some Liberian dollars." Exchange rates. Change exchange rates. They can't change exchange rates. Set their own interest rates. Africa already has examples of monetary union, including the CFA franc zone. There has also been a long discussion about the proposed eco currency in West Africa. West Africa wants to get the eco to be used by all West African countries. But the problem they are faced with is they have the CFA countries, CFA franc zone, that already use their own currency. The debate is not simply about creating a currency. The real question is, are African economies prepared to share monetary sovereignty? Then the final stage now is what everybody talking about, but they forget to know there are other stages that must be completed before you get to what we call the political union or political federation. This is the most ambitious idea. A political federation could mean African countries maintain their own national governments, but also create stronger continental institutions with shared authority. This could include a stronger African parliament. We already have that. The foundation is being laid. A continental court system, shared foreign policy, coordinated defense, continental economic decision making. So many things are already being done, or the foundation is there. The idea comes from the Pan-African vision that Africa is stronger when united. And that's the vision they have been working on since 1963 from the Organization of African Unity to now the African Union. Leaders like Kwame Nkrumah argue that African countries could have greater global influence if they acted together. The political federation raises the bigger question: how much sovereignty are countries willing to surrender? Could national governments accept decisions made at the continental level? These are questions that must be answered. Who could elect continental leaders? As I talked about the Pan-African Parliament last time, they are not elected, they are sent there by their governments. So when we create a continental government, like as I explained in my last video about Malema suggesting this change, who's going to elect this government? Is it going to be elected at the parliament level, or the citizens are going to do it? How could power be shared between large and small countries? These are difficult questions. These are difficult questions. Africa is not currently close to a political federation. The continent remains a collection of sovereign states with different economic, political systems, security challenges, foreign policy interests. Some regions have moved faster than others. The East African community has made significant progress. ECOWAS has historically been strong on political and economic cooperation. SADC has focused heavily on regional economic cooperation. COMESA has emphasized trade integration. These are all the regional economic communities under the African Union. They are all making different progress. Each regional economic community has its own strengths and challenges. They have their own strengths and challenges. So they are all moving at a different pace. But I think that's why the African Union is trying to harmonize the things that these regional organizations do, so that all of them be on the same page. The road ahead of African integration is not one single project. It is a long journey. It begins with trade preferences, then moves to free trade, then customs cooperation, then common market, then possibly a shared currency, and eventually, perhaps, a political federation. The biggest challenge is not whether Africans share a common history or culture. They do. The challenge is whether governments can build institutions strong enough to turn the dream of unity into reality. The African Union vision is ambitious. The question facing Africa is not whether integration is desirable. The question is, how far are African countries willing to go to achieve it? Because the future of Africa may depend on it. Because the future of Africa may depend on that final stage of political federation. And I think the foundation has been laid. I talk about the Pan-African Parliament. We talk about the African Code of Humans and People. So the foundation has been laid. The foundation is there. But how far and how fast can these governments go to achieve that? Folks, we discuss the African Union and regional organizations. If you want to know about African Union, come to those who understand geopolitics and discuss what the African Union does. This video is not about like likes and clicks. Yes, we want those. But basically to inform you about what the regional organization, our continental organization does, and how these regional organizations like SADC, COMESA, and other people, all these things they do. These are what we are here to do and make you understand the African Union. Now we are making you to understand. We explain the Pan-African Parliament. We explain what the Assembly of Head of State does. We explain what the Council, the Executive Council does. All these various organs within the African Union, we explain them to you. So if you understand them, you're not just focused on the African Union slow, but they are building the foundation needed to move Africa to that final level of political federation. Folks, if you enjoyed this video, and if you want in-depth analysis of African issues, subscribe to the channel. Once again, my name is Pico Kanwe. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.